it can be positive. You know, I was like, oh, you can have a positive experience. That's when the work like really started. So, yeah.
Okay, so let's unpack that, because you talked about a couple different things that I want to touch on. You talked about it being a journey as far as finding a therapist and the connection that you have to have, and that you kind of got to a space where you didn't feel like this would, like it was possible to do therapy, like it was stupid, or, you know, all the negative thoughts we kind of think sometimes, or the misconceptions that we have about therapy within our communities. So what would you say has made you connect with your therapist? Like, what are those things that made you feel comfortable connecting with her?
That's really interesting. I've never had anyone ask me that. So I remember my first session with her. So I'm very anxious on my very first session with a therapist. Really anxious. I typically have a panic attack. I'm crying. Like, I'm just like not in a really good space. And so I remember I was like, I can't do this. I can't go to this lady and be crying. So I was like, I'm gonna walk in. I'm gonna be so tough. And so I walked in, and her office, you know, she had like nice music, beautiful like furniture. Like she's like, you can sit on the floor. You can do whatever you want to do. And she really made it opening and like welcoming. And we just talked. So, you know, that initial is always, you know, for the people who don't know, the initial conversation is really just therapists getting to know you and trying to dive, you know, they try to dig deep and say, okay, like what brought you here? And initially, of course, I was kind of tight-lipped and I was like, oh, here we go again. And so, but it was something about her and how she was like asking the questions, and certain things that I told her, her response had been totally different than any therapist I've ever had. So it was like a connect, like I could tell like she really understood me. And so the response was never like a negative or like looking down upon how I was raised, or, you know, how I was raising my son, or how I was moving in the world. And so her doing that really kind of paved the way. And her initially, our work was, you know, me opening up. So the biggest thing was for me to let my guard down and not feel like, oh, I always have to be so tight. Like I can't, you know, like I can't be loving. I can't be the loving, bubbly, sweet person. I can't be, I can't let my emotions show. I gotta be the tough one. Once we got to that, like once it was, like we got to what it was, where it was coming from, things changed. I mean, I go to therapy sessions now, I cry, I scream, and I like apologize. I'm like, sorry, I gotta cuss real quick. So, you know, like I've gotten to a point now where it has just become so comfortable to